let's go back a few years. Take you back to when I was around 22. I moved to New York and needed a place to stay. And my friend Lamont said, Lamont, where can I stay with my girlfriend? And his girlfriend said, you can stay at my place. There's somebody staying there, Jack Smith. But he's harmless, she said. So I went over to her place, which was a dingy, square, unlit room in a little house, that rear house that doesn't exist anymore. Knocked on the door and said, hi, that was me and my girlfriend. Marion said we could stay here. And so Jack said, okay. So I came in and I saw what Jack was doing, and it was like he was making these weird pornographic pictures, and I'd heard about these sexy, sort of like sex artists. And now Jack Smith, it turned out, was, what are you doing, Jack? He says, I'm painting a set for my movie. I thought, oh my God, he's making a movie. Oh, how cool. This was like, I was into very serious things at the time, and this was like different from something serious. This was like way off the charts. First of all, the thing he was painting as the set for his movie was a black and white painting about 9 feet square of a vase of flowers. But, I was kind of fascinated by this guy because he was so sort of like strangely unique in the way that he dealt with his friends, and they would hang around with their pants off and stuff. And they were a weird lot anyway. And so when one day he said, I came in and everybody was busy. And I said, what's going on? He says, we're going to go shoot the movie. Oh, okay. I said, well, can I help? Maybe I can help. I could help carry the set. So the painting got rolled up, the 9-foot square gray painting of the vase of flowers. And off we tootled down to the other end of town, where we hung and I helped. I could hammer and, do things. So we set up, hung the painting, and then Jack tries to load the camera and so forth. And then people had a big trunk full of costumes, and they started putting on their costumes. And I was astounded because it took people 3 hours to put on their costumes. They were taking some kind of pleasure in putting on their costumes. They were putting on lots of lipstick and stuff like that. I thought, this is kind of weird. I thought it was a little too weird. But then Jack said, well, you got to be in the movie too. I said, I don't know. Okay, well, what do I have to do? I don't know. I thought, I don't know. But then he insisted, and so I had to put on this dress. I thought, oh my God, I'm dying of chagrin here. This is unbelievable. It was, in fact, an intensely mortifying experience, the whole thing. And after we were finished, I thought about this for a long time, how mortifying it was, but how exhilarating it was at the same time to be completely at the fringe of my whole identity, where I couldn't actually go. I didn't know what was happening. It was scary, but also exciting, in the same way that any kind of adventure is. You test yourself. You go to the limit. In this case, it was the limit of exposure. self-exposure of performing in a way that you don't know that you're performing. Especially, I was a very nerdy, like introverted person. I didn't have much in the way of performance skills. I was baffled by what was going on. I knew nothing about this, but I was, from that moment on, I must say, completely captivated by the whole mythology of the situation. And this movie, then took over the summer, and it got shot. This session after session got shot, and then finally the rent ran out on the place. And when it did, and I got another little apartment, I said, Jack, well, if you want to move in my apartment, because he didn't have any place to go either, we can split the rent or whatever, And so he did, and he edited this movie over there that later became Flaming Creatures. It was a movie that was famous because it had a penis in it. And it was all just also, not a strong penis, but a notoriously flaccid penis that was being waggled and woggled around in a way that was not supportive of the kind of Tom Cruise image of the American male, but of something completely different. And it turned out that most of the female characters in the film were played by men. It was strange. But, I had a very strong feeling about kind of a mentorship relationship to Jack. It was like I learned a lot from him because he was so different, and I became very attached to him during this period. It was like exciting because everything was so removed from the territory where my life had been set. I guess that's about what it amounts to. It wasn't exactly a role model thing. Not exactly a role model thing. Like, it couldn't be. I mean, he was sort of in this territory of sexual ambivalence, which I didn't occupy. I wasn't gay. I wasn't such a performer. He was on all the time. And there were a lot of, I couldn't emulate a lot, most of it I couldn't emulate under any circumstance. It just was impossible, but it was something to enjoy, to learn from. There's some people you want to just watch as a kind of spectator sport. Yeah, Hollis Frampton was like that. I was just commenting on that the other day to my pal Gerald O'Grady. Yeah, that I used to, finish the day at work, and I would go over to where Hollis Frampton was struggling with his digital art. I'd say, "Hi, Hollis," and then there would ensue like an hour of disquisitions. Hollis would speak on all kinds of topics, and eloquently and in a wonderful sort of way. And I would encourage him, and he would hardly notice I was there. I did this over and over and over again for a long time, and I thought, it took me a long time to realize that, I couldn't really be counted among his friends because he had really never acknowledged that I was even there, really. It was just in his way of, plus he was drunk all the time, so that didn't help. But it was a wonderful relationship. I don't get anything from some relationships, but I did from that one. let's go and try another one. Let's see, these are topics, you see. Coming to terms with your own death. You've heard of the death of the author. Well, this is like the death of the audience. So, you motherfuckers, you're out there watching me, and I'm dead. And so, what do you think? How is it? Because I feel fine. And you're sitting on your asses watching me on video after I'm gone. Do I feel comfortable about this relationship to you? No. Why should I feel comfortable about it? You're not even there. You may not have even been born. Now, see, like, this is like a valid thing to think about, you know, now that we can communicate like this. Like, I can be dead and talk to you. Okay? Fun. I'm having a fine time. I'm fixed, you know, like, but I mean, not now. I can turn on a dime. Hats. Mobile phones. Oh, where is it? I'm coming back to the same thing. See, I can just flip right around, but that's because I'm not as fixed in the past here while I'm doing this as you might think I am. Yeah, I'm keeping it moving. I'm keeping it moving. Yeah, what about you? You're just sitting there, you dummies. You're just sitting there, and I'm eating blueberries. I hope you're eating something good while you're watching TV. Okay, so I didn't die yet, and you're still watching me on TV? Good. That's good. Just wait. I'll be gone, or you will. Maybe you won't watch me. Maybe you don't want to watch this after I'm gone. Yeah, there's a good chance of that, too. But let's pretend that you are watching me and I've died. Yeah, well, let's pretend instead that I'm here now and you haven't watched me yet. And let's say you haven't been born yet, okay? Like, let's say you're sitting there sometime from now and you haven't been born yet. Does it feel painful to you not being born yet? How does it feel not being born? See, like with the recording devices we have now, we can reach this kind of span of time for the first, hadn't been that long, to have this kind of conversation with someone who hasn't been born yet. Who's talking to people who haven't been born yet? The first person I know of for whom you could both hear the sound, for whom the public could hear the sound and see the image, personare, the personality of knowing the sound and knowing the picture, was a surprising person. May Irwin, Queen of the Coon Shouters. She was known because she was a recording star. Why don't we know about her today? You don't know any coon shouters today. Unfashionable territory, coon shouting. It was like a parody Negro type singing. So, it's out, along with, razors and chicken and eating watermelons and big lips and all of that, which they used to advertise the old coon shouting sheet music. all of that's gone, erased. Now, the reason that we know May Irwin's picture is because she is the Irwin in the Rice-Irwin Kiss, which was a short movie made by Edison, I believe, that was the first movie scandal because it was a close-up of this couple kissing. And close-ups were scandalous enough, but kissing, in them days, we're talking like 1900-something. So people knew both. But, then a long time goes by before you can really get to know somebody through their picture and the way they talk together, especially if they're talking to you, like I'm talking to you, and then to be fully aware and live in the expectation you're talking to somebody who isn't born yet. It hasn't been going on for that long. It just hasn't been going on for that long. So do you feel good not being born? Okay. I'm sure you've got a good answer to that. I'm going to let you meditate on that. And you know what? That's just exactly the way I feel being dead. Yeah. May Irwin, yeah. Queen of the Coon Shouters. Around that same time that the movies were first coming out, my father was born in Chicago. His family was of German extraction, and they lived in a Polish neighborhood. The family used German to speak in a way that the children could not understand. It was like a secret language, in other words. Well, my father picked up a little of it, but really not very much. So it really got under his skin when he would go out to play, and it turned out that the First World War started, and the Polish kids didn't like the German kids. And since he was living in a Polish neighborhood, he was tortured as a child for being a German in a household where he wasn't allowed to learn the language. So what do you think I had to grow up with? Well, I had to grow up with a father who, of course, learned German when he went to school. What was he going to do, So, so he would say, mein Junge, and stuff like that, and, a few things like that in spite of himself. But it was like a very conflicted thing, because even though 3/4 of my ancestry was from Germany, it came with this self-hatred that my father's family had installed in the tradition, through my father's experiences. It was this self-hatred. It was this thing about how, the patriarchal German family had to be combated, about how everything about the whole situation of that ethnicity had to be combated. Because it was a kind of poison, actually, that seeped into the situation. And I realized later that there was some real good reason for combating the German patriarchal family, authoritarian family tradition. And I was happy that my father did that, even though, to a certain degree, he embodied it. You can't help yourself. You live with these things that you're brought up in. And then you try to sort of go against them. It takes a couple generations sometimes to actually wear it down. I hope it's gone now. It feels like it. I remember going to Germany. I go to Germany, I think, oh my God. One thing I know now is I'm an American. I'm not a German. You can tell. Whoa. Yeah. You can tell that you're an American if you know what I mean. Sometimes. Okay, let's see. We're going on to the topic here of a book that changed my life. Has anybody ever had a book that changed that? Has anybody ever not had a book that changed your life? Yeah, well, like what about The Three Little Pigs when I was a kid, you know? The first book you ever read. I don't know about changing your life. Everything changes your life, you know. So, a book. You know, if there's a big book that's supposed to change your life, it's certainly the Bible. But, you know, between you and me, I think the Bible is kind of a poisonous influence. You know, it's got too much baggage. Too much baggage. People doting on like a sentence or two out of the thing. And if you go and look around in it, you find that it's full of like, like anything else that people write, which they did, of course. You know, any scholar will tell you that it's written, of course. This whole idea that God wrote it, or, I mean, like, I don't know. Strange ideas. God did everything, right? That means God wrote the Oz books. Anyway, they weren't bad, by the way. One summer, I remember I was living in Berkeley, and I was young. I was like, 19 or something. And, being 19, you know, you're sort of like, yeah, charged up, right? And I decided to read Swann's Way. And it's by Marcel Proust. And this is a book which was filled to the gills with the kind of subject matter that I always resented in books. You know, I remember reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne when I was a kid. And the thing that was aggravating about the book was that every time it got to the point of some kind of action, he would pause and then he would go into this thing like, oh, there was this coral reef, and then there would be a whole like a long paragraph describing all these urchins and crap that's living on this coral reef. I don't want to read that. I want to, like I was, on with the action, and so the thing is that Swann's Way is just like it goes in that wrong direction to a fault. It just goes there all the way. There's like pages and pages of descriptions of flowers and banks of flowers and plants and how everything is, and like after 100 pages of this stuff, it sort of suddenly takes on it becomes a kind of miasma that penetrates you like some kind of like weird like fungus growing in under your skin. It takes over and fills your eyes and your virtual eyes, and then it moves you into this strange space where I would read, like a bunch of this stuff. And then I would go out into California and I would walk in the street, maybe in the middle of the night. And everything would look like it was written by Marcel Proust. There'd be the infinite and painful beauty of the smallest little twig or branch with a little leaf sticking out preciously into the atmosphere. Everything, the whole world was suddenly animated in this just immaculately precious way. Hard to describe, but that's about all I can tell you about it. I haven't had a more powerful experience of a book actually, like capturing a sensibility so profoundly that, how you go to a movie and you come out of the movie and it's like, woo, you're like it's something clammy or like still in it somehow. It's a trance effect. Well, this wasn't exactly a trance effect. It was sort of like a mode of thinking that had a preciosity about it. It was like the Thor's hammer of aesthetic enjoyment had clobbered me on the brain and somehow like knocked the logic out of focus, so that suddenly I was reduced to this completely romantic place where everything was imbued with this kind of proto-sexual like overflow of like juiciness. God. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. This is an amazing experience, I must say. In spite of that, I would encourage you to read that book. Oh, yeah, it might happen to you. It's not that bad. Not that bad, really, when it comes right down to it. Some people get that kind of experience from music, too,